read out just now. Recently, there was an interview published by Malaysia Kini, a member of parliament from Parti Socialist Malaysia, said, Hindraf is premised on an ethnic analysis of society, and there isn't much, ideologically speaking, to differentiate it from either MIC or Perkasa. What is your opinions of the speakers?
See, after having heard what I had to say, I represent Hindraf's viewpoint. Ours basically is a convergence. Our position, our platform, is a convergence of class and race, right? Now, also the fact that that these problems even till today are seen in the context of general problems. But tell me, who else has the statelessness problem? Tell me what other schools are in containers, 20-foot containers? Tell me whose temples are being demolished at the rates it's being demolished. So who's taking these things up? Is Pakatan taking it up? Who's taking it up? Who's taking it up? So when Martin Luther King stands up for the blacks, and we stand up for the Indian poor, what's so wrong about that? You tell me. So, yeah, I can understand where, the comment from, Dr. Jayakumar comes from. He basically, is concerned. I mean, he is competing, that's the way he views it. He's competing in the same marketplace as us. PSM, for all its socialist ideology, 95% or even more of their members are Indians. Right? So if he makes a comment like that, I can only say it is because he probably feels a little bit of competitive pressure, so he says that. But our viewpoint is very clear. It's just as I have said now. Right? It is a convergence of class and race, and since nobody else is doing it, I think somebody has to do it, and I think we are as righteous as anybody else to do it. So that is my response to the comment.
I got a special question just for me. To Dr. Azmi says, you said Article 153 is not flawed, only its implementation. Article 153 ignores the Orang Asti and important group. How can you say it is not flawed? Yeah, okay, yeah, you're right, it's flawed. But there are provisions in the Constitution specifically just for the Orang Asti as well. So they don't fall under 153, but there are other provisions in there. But that's not respected either. What I meant really when I said it's not flawed is that personally I do not believe that affirmative action per se is bad. Right? That's my driving message here, is that I've never believed that affirmative action is inherently wrong. In fact, I think to a certain extent it is necessary for a more holistic version of equality. For example, I came from a middle class family, very comfortable. I should not be getting the same kind of help as a similar boy who's from a working class poor family. That's inequality, but that's affirmative action, and I think it's necessary, and I think it's only fair. Right? So in that sense, Article 153 is something which is giving the government permission to conduct affirmative action. In that sense, it is not flawed. Right? Okay, but it's been abused. I mean, right now, you see, the way it's been done is that Malay people have been taught that without 153, you're doomed. You're finished. Okay, the divide and rule, which the British government started, is now being continued by the Barisan. Okay, they use this kind of things not to look at it, not to push for any proper societal readjustment. They use it for their own political gains. And even in their rhetoric, the Barisan Nasional, it's hilarious. I mean, if you listen to them, according to UMNO, okay, if Pakatan comes into power, that means DAP, the Chinese, will control the country. Oh, how scary, all right? According to the MCA, if Pakatan comes into power, the PAS, that means the Muslims, will control the country. So which one is it? Hello, UMNO, MCA, which one? Who's going to control the country? The Chinese or the crazy fundamentalist Muslims? Get your stories straight, blah. So they're doing it to us now, and everything that they're doing is purely for the sake of getting power, and they divide us. And one of the myths which they go on about is that the Malays are doomed without them, and they're doomed without 153. I think we're all doomed with them, but that's another story.
On this spat between the PSM and Hindraf, I don't think I better step in. But I think Hindraf, I like the way in which Hindraf is working with like the Swaram and JB, etc. I think that's the way to go. And I like the way Hindraf came out just before the 2008 elections. I like to see that. I agree with Ganesan that it is only right that the Indian masses, Indians don't include Ananda Krishnan and Sammy Velu, the Indian masses are being oppressed, especially oppressed, and it's only right to organize to defend them, the people, especially people who are victims of death in custody, etc. But yeah, during the time when people were calling Hindraf racist, I wrote an article to defend Hindraf. And say, don't simply fling the label racist at Hindraf. Fling racist at the people who are really racist. And I said this, no. Okay, don't trivialize the term racism. Okay, and so far so good. Until one day I was surfing the net and I saw this attack by Uttaya Kumar. All kinds of people, all kinds of people, it's like a machine gun, and I'm also one of them. And I saw in this book that was presented to me by Hindraf just now. I looked at it and it says, Dr. Kwa would research the May 13 riots, but he would not research Kampung Medan. Is that fair? Dr. Kwa is like some kind of Superman, he can write all kinds of histories. People always say, how do you write so fast? But now I'm being accused of not doing research on Kampung Medan. Is it fair? I don't think it's fair. But I'm very proud to tell you that this year, by the end of this year, Swaram is going to come up with the history of Kampung Medan. Okay, Swaram is coming up, and I'm helping to edit it. It will be written by our Swaram director, Arumugam. But I'm very proud that it's coming under Swaram. And I feel very strongly about Kampung Medan. I've written about Kampung Medan countless times. Any document about racism in this country that I've also sent to when I went to Durban, at the World Conference Against Racism and Racial Discrimination, I made sure that I included Kampung Medan. And you have seen my articles in newspapers. When I mention racism, it'll be Kampung Medan will be in there. But I'm still attacked by Uttaya Kumar. So I say the leadership of Hindraf has to be very clear what it wants to do and what it says. And I said we can only fight racism with solidarity. You want solidarity with people like me, people like Swaram JB, people like PSM as well. I think if you can't unite with PSM, I don't see who you can unite with. Okay? So I hope all the best for Hindraf in the time ahead, in their struggle to fight for the rights and the gains of the Indian masses. Thank you.
Thank you. I think we should. I need to close the question session, but we have a few questions for the speakers. I'll just read it out all. Then we'll end the quick Q&A session. Okay, this is for all the speakers. UMNO leaders and Mahathir are claiming Malaysia is not a secular country, is a Islamic religious country, which is true according to Constitution. This is a question from Muti.
Malaysia is a secular country, full stop. Anybody who says otherwise is lying. Menipu. Very simple. Satu, Constitution kata that the religion of the Federation is Islam. It doesn't say that Malaysia is an Islamic state. Very big difference. Okay? The highest court in the country, the Supreme Court at the time, now it's called Mahkamah Persekutuan, dulu nama dia Mahkamah Agung, right? The Supreme Court, in the case of Cik Omar Cik Noh, decided that this country is secular, the constitution is secular, our legal system is secular, alright? The Article 3 of the constitution with regards to Islam being the religion of the Federation is to be limited only for official purposes. Yeah, so for example, you have a dua at opening of an official, opening of parliament, that kind of thing. It is purely for formalistic purposes. It is not for legal purposes. Okay? On top of that, if you look back to the Reid Commission, when Article 3 was put in, it was suggested by the Pakistani member of the Reid Commission. When they were asked for their comments, the alliance, nobody else, the alliance, and may I remind you who the alliance was, they were UMNO, MCA and MIC. The alliance clearly said that the inclusion of Article 3 does not mean that the constitution is not secular. So anybody who says that this country is not a secular country is a liar. Full stop, end of story.